Hey folks, Randy Newberg here. It's 2025. Happy New Year. You know what we do every year when the tag applications start coming out? We tell you how to get a tag. And this year we're going to talk about Wyoming because, well, it's always the first one out of the gate. January 31, 2025 is the date you're going to hear me talk about a lot of times. Now, if you want way more details than this, go out to Go Hunt, read their insider articles, and in order to do that, you got to sign up. And if you sign up using promo code RANDY, you're going to get those articles, you're going to get the best draw odds, you're going to get all kinds of stuff, the best gear shop I know of. And this year, in addition to you getting $50 of credit in the gear shop, we're going to throw in an annual subscription to Fresh Tracks Plus, which is worth $80. And we're going to give you our new elk hunting e-guide, which is worth another $20. So, almost can't afford not to do it for that price, plus all this great information you're going to get. Now, we're going to do this a little differently this year. You're going to see that I kind of bounce back and forth because I got a bunch of stuff written on a whiteboard or an easel here that I'm just more of a, write it and animate it. And my wife says I couldn't talk if I ever had my hands tied behind my back. So we're going to do some of that. There's not a whole lot of change going on in Wyoming in 2025. That's good. We will have our first year of data to look back and see how applicants responded to two things. One, the huge price increase in the special part of the draw that I'll walk you through, and the fact that they split the general tags into three areas, east, south, and west. Pretty interesting to look at that data and see how applicants chose which part of the general units, how many people jumped into the general units compared to past years. So those are the biggest things that I think you want to pay attention to in 2025. I know some of you are interested in moose and goat and sheep and bison, but the allocations of those have gotten so small that it's not even worth doing a video on anymore. Just know that that application is usually in late April. So here's what you got to know about Wyoming. Wyoming always is in my top one or two western states in terms of value for elk hunters. Reason is it's got a great mix of opportunity and quality, has really high success rates, and it has a lot of accessible public land. So right away you got to figure out, am I going over here in the regular draw that is cheaper, or am I going over here in the special draw that is more expensive? And just know that either way, you get the same tag for the same season date, same everything, but it's just one is way more expensive under the premise that I disagree with Wyoming doing this, but they started it 20 years ago, so there's not much I can do about it, is that if you go in the expensive draw, you'll get better draw odds. That special draw, the big price difference, well, sometimes most of the times you'll get better draw odds, but not always. So here's your costs. Regular, right here, special. Same tag, but look at the price difference. $1,258 difference for the same tag. There better be some really good draw odds over here to pay that extra. But here's what it's going to cost you. Application fee, $15, either place. And then we get into this tag fee. $707 is the normal regular fee. $1,965 for this special fee. Woo! Now, they have a special fee for youth hunts, but it's only available in the regular draw. If you got a youth hunter who wants to be in the special draw, they're going to pay the big money. And then you add all this up. This comes to about $1,980. This comes to about $722. And then you got to pay this darn credit card fee at 2.5%. Well, over here, the 2.5% of almost $2,000, that's close to $50. So by the time you add all this up, it's over $2,000. Woo! Yikes! But it just is what it is. Now, being the tight-wadded CPA that I am, I'm always interested in what are the non-refundable fees. The app fee and the credit card fee, you don't get back. So you're still going to be out some money in Wyoming. If you bought a point, you're out that. The day you buy the point, forget about it, that's gone. So anyhow, better make up your mind if you want to pay $1,258 extra dollars, because sometimes the draw odds aren't worth it. Now I'm going to try my best to walk you through how this goofy Wyoming process works. And I'm going to show you how they allocate these non-resident tags between the regular draw and the special draw, right? This is the really expensive one. Draw a bunch of dollar signs out there. Woo, man, they're going to teach you how to write a check. So let's say there's 20 tags, 20 non-resident tags. Well, 60% of them go over here in the regular draw, so 60% times 20 is 12. The other 40% times 20 is 8, goes in the special draw. So once you get this pool of 12 tags and 8 tags, then they split it further. They say, all right, the true preference point system, we're going to give away 75% of these 12 tags, or 9 of them, under our preference point system. He or she with the most points gets the tag. The other 25%, or 3 tags in this case, is going to go randomly, where they disregard your points and everybody has the same chance. They're saying there's a chance. And then they do the same thing over here. In the special draw, they do a split of 75 in the preference point. So of these 8 tags, 6 of them are going in the preference point draw. The other 2 are random tags. So if there's really low non-resident tag numbers and you walk through all this, there are some units where that becomes a 0, where there are no random tags. So don't use, if you're not in the high point pool, don't use your one choice and hope that you're going to get a random tag in a unit that doesn't give any away. So hopefully that makes sense. So when they're all done, here's where the tags end up. Of these 20 tags, we get 9 that end up in the preference point side of the regular. We get 3 that end up in the random side of the regular, 6 in the preference point side of the special, and 2 in the random side of the special. So when you add all these up, you end up with 20, just like up there. So the one thing to think about is non-residents get 16% of the limited entry tags in Wyoming, not counting the general tags. So if there's only 20 tags in a unit, well, 16% of those non-residents, we're going to get 16% of 20, we're going to get 3 tags. Well, if you go through this whole thing, there's not going to be a random tag available. So don't waste your money or your choice on a hunt code that doesn't have a random tag if you're way down in the bottom. Can you just buy a point? You sure can, but you're not going to get a point just for being unsuccessful like in some other states. You actually have to go back into the Wyoming system from January 1st through, I think, the end of October, and you actually have to buy your point. It's $50 for elk, $40 for deer, $30 for pronghorn. Now there's talk about that going way up. I mean, they're making so much money selling points and they haven't even come close to the price resistance on that. So I expect that they're going to continue to bump the point price up. Now we always get the question, is it worth it? Wyoming elk 2025. Well, let's kind of walk through the whole point pile, because we know that there's a true preference point system for 75% of the tags, and they give away about 8,000 tags. That means there's about 2,000 of them that are going to be in the random, and that's going to be split between special and regular. But think about this. Wyoming right now has about 195,000 non-residents in their ELK point system. And last year, 2024, about 8,000 people got a tag. So you add those together, you get 203,000. You get some attrition every year, but there's over 200,000 non-residents in Wyoming's ELK point system. They give away about 8,000 tags a year. So divide 200,000 by 8,000. They got about 25 years worth of applicants in their system. That means if nobody else jumps in, it's going to take them 25 years to plow through all these people, if everyone who drew then quit. Here's the thing you need to think about. 19,000 of those people have more than 10 or more points. So with that many people having 10 or more points, if you're like me and you're down here at 3, 4, 5 points, you have to readjust your strategy to units that are in lower demand, units that have big numbers of non-resident tags for anything to trickle down and for me to have any kind of chance in the random draw. Now, some people complain, I can't believe they do this. I wish they'd get rid of this. And I'm one of those people. I do not like point systems, but they're here. And when you do this math, last year, Wyoming sold more than 195,000 ELK points, just ELK points, for $50 per point. That's $9,750,000 they made just selling points for non-residents to keep their place in line. That's more revenue than they get from the 8,000 ELK tags that they sell non-residents. What? Or close to. It's very close to the amount of revenue. So anyhow, I want you to think about this point system and the reality of what we're dealing with, because this system isn't going away. And when you're thinking about your short-term, mid-term, and long-term plans, if you're at the bottom of this point pile, you're going to have to live a long time before your points get high enough that you're going to be guaranteed a tag. Doesn't mean you won't draw in one of the random parts of the draw as you go along. But Wyoming is not a place where you can think you're going to catch up with this other 195,000 people when they're only giving away 8,000 tags a year. Wyoming has a ton of places to hunt. 60% of Wyoming is public land. Just know that on state land, you can't camp there. So the little blue stuff, you can't camp there. You can hunt there with your hunting license, but you can't camp there. They have 2 amazing state access programs that are funded by donation. So when you do your application, I hope you'll do what I do and make a donation to that program. It's called Access Yes, and it has hunter management areas, which you actually have to put in for a draw to get a hunting slot on that private ground. And then they have walk-in hunting areas where, it's as the name implies, you park and you walk in and hunt. A lot of people say, are there any short-term options in Wyoming if I'm just jumping into the system or I burned my points 2 years ago? Well, none of the premium tags, none of the hard to draw, limited entry tags and the really good units are short-term options. They're all going to take you double-digit points if you think that you want to go into the 75% point pool. Now you might draw one of those in the random draw, but you don't want to count on it. So what is a short-term option? For me, it's anything that's 5 years or less. The general tags in the east, the west, and the south, that is your chance in Wyoming if you're looking for a short-term option. The numbers for elk haven't been affected by the harsh winters like the deer and pronghorn have, so the numbers are still in good shape. And Wyoming does some of the best and most assertive affirmative management of any state out there. Thumbs up to Wyoming. The other great part is in most units, any hunt that doesn't have a Type 9 tag, Type 9 are archery only, any of the other units that don't have a Type 9 tag, you can come and hunt the September archery season by just buying an archery stamp. And if you aren't successful, you can come back with your rifle. That's a ton of opportunity for whatever price you pay for that tag, whether it's the regular tag or the special tag. So don't miss the deadline. It's January 31st, 2025. Go out to the Wyoming website. They don't have all of the numbers, all of the tag quotas finalized. That'll happen in April. So it's weird. They have this deadline of the 31st of January, but you can modify your application way out into early May. And the reason they had to do that is if we don't know what the tag allocations are, how could we make a decision in January? So once the tag allocations come out in late April, make sure and go into your account and adjust your application to reflect anything that was different when they approved those quotas in April. Now, like I said, way more content is available about the Wyoming system out at Go Hunt. Go to gohunt.com, and when you do, use promo code RANDY when you sign up. Besides getting $50 in the gear shop, you're going to get all this great information, the best draw odds, you name it. And we're going to give you a subscription to Fresh Tracks Plus and the elk hunting e-guide. So don't miss the deadline of January 31st. Every year people miss that deadline and they email us, well, what can I do now? Well, you can buy a point in July. That's about it. So anyhow, thanks for watching. Good luck in the draw. Hope you get to hunt elk in Wyoming this year.